Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lollipop and this is my room and this is my laptop. And the reason why I have this with me is because for the past 3 or 4 months I've been looking online for a new mountain bike. Now, for those of you who follow my channel, you're probably wondering, Talal, you already have like 10 mountain bikes, why do you need another one? And the reason for that is because it's not going to be for me, it's actually going to be for my friend who is really interested in mountain biking and wants to give it a shot. Now, I have been letting her borrow my medium-sized Trek Marlin, however she is 5'3" in height, so a small would definitely suit her better. So I've been looking online, mainly on the Facebook Marketplace. That's basically my go-to for finding a used bike because you can do local pickup, I don't have to deal with shipping and anything like that. So I've been looking at Trek Marlins and Specialized Rockhoppers, Giant Talons, you know, entry-level beginner mountain bikes that would be a good start to anyone's mountain biking journey. But all of them are very expensive. You can see, like, as I'm scrolling through the marketplace here, that they're just like really pricey. That's why it's been taking me so long to try to find a good deal on one. But this morning, I just found a listing for a Specialized Rockhopper. It was originally listed for $550. I actually saw it a few days ago, but the person brought down the price to $400. So I shot them a message because that is a much better price than $550. And I'll show the listing on the screen right now. I'll try to respect this person's privacy by not giving away too much of their information, but basically they're listing a Specialized Rockhopper 27.5, 2021. And some cool stuff about this one is that this person says it has SRAM level brakes and level T pads, so definitely a big upgrade over the mechanical disc brakes that come on that bike normally. And then it also has these new Vans cult grips, I guess. And I actually already got the bike. I wasn't able to record that part, but I'll basically go over the whole story of what happened. So originally this video was going to be kind of like a fun story of getting a new bike for a friend and cleaning it up and making it look all nice and whatever. But I also think that this video could help you guys out if you are looking into buying a used mountain bike and things to look for, things to watch out for. Because anytime you're buying a used bike online, there's always going to be a few things that you missed when you're looking at the pictures, and then you go see it in person. Maybe you notice some more stuff, but you're not going to notice everything. But I'll tell you that whole story right now, so let me go get the bike as a little preview. Alright, here we go. So bike in 3, 2, 1. There it is. So there is the finished product, Specialized Rockhopper. And what's kind of cool is that this bike actually matches my first mountain bike ever, which was the 2020 Trek Marlin 5. It's kind of cool how my friend gets to experience her first mountain bike as a very similar looking one. Yeah, let's get back into the video of how I got this. Now, every single time I buy something off the Facebook Marketplace, I always try to negotiate a lower price just in case the person is willing to do it. And in this case, I offered $350 instead of their $400, and they said no to that, and eventually we agreed on $375. So I was going to go over there and get it. But I took a harder look at the pictures just to make sure everything was good, and I noticed that in the front it does not look like there's any disc rotor or any front brake caliper. But after I did notice that, I got the price down to $350 and they accepted that. And right before I was actually supposed to head on over there, I messaged them saying like, hey, is it still good to meet at this time? And the person said that they did not have the front brake anymore, so they brought down the price to $325. And I said that I can't get a new brake for $25, so you're gonna have to lower it more. So we eventually got it down to $300. So that's gonna be the ultimate price that I'm gonna go get it for. Getting this one for $300 or even $400 or $500 would be a pretty good deal. But of course, it also depends on the condition of the bike. So let's go out there right now and check it out, make sure everything is good, and hopefully whatever else that needs to be done to it, I can quickly fix at the shop at Trek. And here is the bike. I just brought it back home. Just gonna show off the condition it's in right now because it's pretty dirty. You can see in different areas we have some frayed cables, some bent housings that look like they could definitely use some love. There are definitely some issues with the shifting. Like you can see if I try to shift, like that shifter's just not moving. But overall, pretty nice beginner mountain bike here. And you can see it's a size small right there. Even the saddle is pointed very far down for some reason. But we got a 2x8 drivetrain on this one, which is great. For beginners, we have a stout crankset, which is Specialized's own brand, but we do have some microshift components. So this is a microshift front derailleur for the 2x, and then a microshift rear derailleur. The tires do have some tread on them. They're not too worn out yet. They're just ground control tires from Specialized as well. We got the front fork right here, which is an SR Suntour XCE. No lockout or anything, just a preload adjustment on the top, so pretty basic suspension fork. In terms of damage to the frame, it's really only paint damages. You can see random chips in the paint there, probably from rocks and things like that, maybe a few crashes on this one. And you can also see down here by the front chain ring that the chain definitely got caught up and scratched that chainstay a lot over there. The person I bought it from did change out the front grips to these Vans branded grips right here. They are getting pretty grimy though, and definitely not that safe. You can see the end is not even plugged up, so I'm definitely going to rip those off and throw some new grips on there. One thing you might be able to tell right away is that there's no front brake on this bike at all, as well as the rotor, so there's no rotor in the front. So this bike only has one brake, and luckily this person just happened to upgrade the rear to a SRAM level hydraulic disc brake, which is way better than what came stock on this bike. And you can see the actual caliper in the back here looks pretty nice. Don't got to worry about the rear at all, and I can just throw a front one on there if I find one at Trek or something like that. So yeah, overall that's my Specialized Rockhopper now, size small. Super excited to clean this up, and we'll give it a test ride at the end. All right guys, so I've been working on this bike for about 2 hours now. It was a bit of a more elaborate process than I had hoped. Luckily, I am a mechanic at Trek Sacramento, so I was able to fix a lot of the problems that I ran into, but I'm going to go over those now and basically explain what I did, and I'll show you some footage that I took. All right, so let's go over everything I did on the bike. I started by basically getting the bike and bringing it to Trek Sacramento, and then I put it up on a park tool stand that we have, got a hose, and just hosed the whole thing down to get rid of all that grime and dirt that was already on there and dust and stuff like that. And then I took off the front and rear wheel and also did the same with those and washed them down. And then I got some bike wash and a rag and started just scrubbing and cleaning all of the sticky stuff that was on this bike and the mud that wouldn't come off and all this other stuff, and basically just made it look very clean. So that was the start, and then dried it all off. It was pretty easy to dry since it was about 100 degrees outside, so it dried pretty quick. But then I brought it into the shop and started working on it. So some of the things I did, I trued the front wheel. It was a bit out of true and a little bent, so I threw that in the truing stand and got that fixed up pretty quick. I removed the old grips that were pretty grimy and gross and cut them off with some box cutters, and then I threw some new brand new grips on there. I adjusted the handlebar angle and all of the other handlebar accessories like the brakes and the shifters, just to make them feel a bit more comfortable when you're on the bike. The headset on the bike was also pretty loose. It was knocking back and forth, which is pretty dangerous, so I tightened that up and made sure everything is good there, so that is great. I also adjusted the seat angle. As you saw before, it was pointing down a lot, which is not really that good, so I made it more straight, so that's going to be a lot more comfortable for sure. The hardest part about this bike so far was definitely the drivetrain, including the shifter. So the shifter still is having some issues, as you can see here. So when you look at the shifter, if you press anything on there, it's not really going to move that much. It just stays in the one position, which isn't a big deal. If it's only the dial that's the problem, I don't really care about that too much. However, it was affecting the actual performance of the drivetrain a little bit. The drivetrain was not really shifting to the bottom two cogs on the cassette, so I had to mess around with some cable tension and take apart the shifter. Basically, I took it apart. I also had to replace the shift cable, as it was very frayed, as I mentioned before. So I took that entire cable out, took apart the shifter, replaced the cable, and cut off some parts of the housing as well that were like bent, and it was just a little too long, so I shortened that up to make it look nicer and work better. But I got everything dialed in, and then got the cable length correct, adjusted the derailleur, I made the high and low limit, and adjusted the tension and everything. And it's shifting pretty smoothly now. Just it hangs up a little bit at the bottom. That's mainly due to the shifter. The shifter probably just needs to be replaced completely. Another thing I ran into was that the front crankset, the chainring at least, is very bent. You can see I'm showing myself kind of turning the crankset right now, and you can see it kind of bends. It should be in a straight line, basically parallel to the bike, but it is bending a little bit, and not too much to cause any issues. I did take the crankset off to try to address this issue and kind of bend it back, but I couldn't really find the bend that easily. But while I took the entire crankset off and the other crank arm, I noticed that the bottom bracket was basically destroyed. The bearings inside of it were horrible. You can take a listen to it right now. All right, so unfortunately, the bottom bracket on this bike is toast. You can feel just how much friction there is. It's very squeaky and not good at all, so that's very annoying. I'm going to have to replace it. Luckily, we do have this bottom bracket in stock at Trek Sacramento. But yeah, basically, I was able to find another bottom bracket and install that. I'll show you that process right now. I basically took a caliper and measured the bike frame and measured the spindle length on the current bottom bracket, and then found the same one at Trek, bought that one, and then I installed it on the bike and applied a lot of grease and all that good stuff. So it's definitely a lot better now, a lot smoother. It's not making a squeaking noise anymore, so I'm very happy about that. Bottom brackets are not too expensive for these lower end mountain bikes. It's only like $12, so pretty cheap fix, but the labor is really what costs a lot if you want to get it done at a bike shop. So I thought this bike was going to be a lot easier to fix up, and it did not seem like it had that many problems when I test rode it and stuff. It just looked kind of dirty. I didn't really find a front brake at Trek right now. I'll probably order a cheaper hydraulic disc brake like a Tektro. But yeah, that's been my journey through this one. I'll take it back home now and finish off the video. All right, so here is the Specialized Rockhopper, and I'm just gonna go on a local bike path and kind of like an off-road path. I don't have a full-blown trail near me anywhere, but this will be a good way to just test things out, make sure nothing's gonna fall off the bike or anything. So we'll get through the shifting. Looks like we're on the easiest gear right now. Yep, it's just fine in a second. Then we'll go to some harder gears. It just has some trouble going to those smaller gears at the end. Could be better, but also could definitely be worse at this price point. Try to go off path a little bit just to get some trail action, the little I have out here. I love how it's pretty quiet actually, because it was squeaking a lot before. I should have taken a video of myself riding it before I fixed everything, but didn't think about that unfortunately. Yeah, the bike definitely feels slower than my Marlin because of the smaller wheels. Not by a whole lot, but I just feel like I'm having to pedal a lot more. But yeah, just a quick little trail ride to test this thing out. Seems like everything is good. Can you go up here? Oh man. Woo! Let's go. Oh. So I think I'm pretty much good to give this to my friend now and end the video. So thank you all for coming with me on this trip to figure out if we can fix up a good deal on a Specialized Rockhopper and then get it all ready for a friend. This is pretty fun to make. I'll try to make some more of these since I'm always buying used bikes online. I'll try to make it a little bit better the next time in terms of quality and how organized it is. I kind of just threw this one together. I wasn't really planning on making the video, but right before I was about to clean it, I was like, I should make a video on this and see what people think. So if you have any feedback and suggestions, I'll definitely take that into consideration for my next one if I do one. With that, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful morning today, and remember to keep biking.